Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni just dropped a geopolitical bombshell, saying Uganda, quote, is entitled to access the Indian Ocean through Kenya, warning that failure to resolve these could cause future wars. Within hours, his son and Army Chief General Muhoozi threatened to capture the Indian Ocean from Kenya in 8 hours. 8 hours! That single phrase has turned East Africa's calm into a diplomatic wildfire. But behind the rhetoric lies something far deeper, a strategic signal about oil, power, and a father preparing his son for Uganda's political throne. At a rally in Kampani, Museveni didn't sound off the cuff. He said Uganda has been locked out of what rightfully belongs to us since colonial borders were drawn. To his supporters, this wasn't madness, it was justice. To Kenya, it sounded like a veiled threat. Museveni's framing was deliberate, not a request for access, but a statement for entitlement. The word entitled matters. It places history and sovereignty on the same line and signals grievance rather than partnership. Hours later, his son took that grievance to social media and poured gasoline on the fire. Quote, Kenya should quickly give us access to the Indian Ocean because it rightfully belongs to us. End of quote. Then the punchline, quote, I can capture it in 8 hours with 8,000 troops. End of quote. This isn't the first time Muhoozi has tested boundaries online. Remember when he joked about capturing Nairobi in 2022? It sparked an international incident. Now, as Uganda inches toward its 2026 elections, Muhoozi is using the same playbook: populist provocation, nationalist appeal, and online chaos as campaign fuel. In Kenya, reaction came faster than furious. Embakasi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino fired back with sarcasm. Uganda should apply to join Kenya as the 48th country. Problem solved. Twitter users piled on with memes, maps, and jokes, turning the threat into a national roast session. But beneath the humor was anger. Many Kenyans saw the remarks as disrespectful and dangerous. Kenya's foreign ministry stayed silent, but insiders say Nairobi is watching closely because this isn't just about words, it is about trade, security, and regional stability. Sensing the storm, Uganda's Ministry of Foreign Affairs quickly issued a statement calling Muhoozi's remarks personal views and reaffirming strong bilateral relationships with Kenya. That is diplomatic code for we are cleaning up after the president's son, but the damage was done. In diplomacy, perception is policy, and this one created an image of restless neighbor willing to test its alliances for political mileage. Museveni's comments draw from a deeper frustration: Uganda's landlocked geography. When colonial borders were drawn, Uganda lost direct access to the coast. Since independence, it has depended almost entirely on Kenya's Mombasa port for 80 to 90% of its imports and exports. Every delay at Mombasa, every customs hiccup, every infrastructure bottleneck reinforces that independence. In that context, Museveni's claim of justice isn't just political rhetoric, it is psychological. A nation tired of dependency, projecting it as a sovereignty issue. Uganda plans to start pumping crude from its Albertine Graben in 2025. The question is, through where? The Kenya pipeline has told the Tanzania route via Tanga is slower than Coastline.
Kenya and Uganda are firmly united by relations deeply rooted in shared history, culture, and aspirations for regional peace and prosperity.
So, Museveni's access to the ocean line might not be about territory, but about leverage. By floating an outrageous claim, he reminds both Kenya and Tanzania that Uganda still holds cards in the regional oil game. It is power politics disguised as nationalism. But here's the real subtext: Uganda's 2026 elections. Museveni, now in power for nearly 4 decades, is grooming his son Muhoozi as successor. The younger Kainerugaba has built his brand on nationalism, social media bravado, and military loyalty. By provoking Kenya, he taps into a populist pulse. We are strong, we are wronged, and we deserve more. This isn't foreign policy, it is political theater aimed at energizing a domestic audience and cementing a dynastic transition.
More than 60 years ago, when we got independence, we did not harmonize properly on the historical mission beyond liberation. There was talk that time of uhuru na umoja, but it was not deeply disassembled. What did uhuru na umoja mean? That's why, therefore, we have lost 6 decades. And as you can see in Africa, we have got so many problems.
We recognize the importance of maintaining strong bilateral relations and are committed to expanding them for the mutual benefits of our two nations and our two peoples. I join His Excellency President Museveni in appreciating the significant outcome of the second session of the Joint Ministerial Committee held from May 12th to May 14, 2024 in Kampala, Uganda, which culminated in the signing of 7 instruments of cooperation between our two countries. Consequently, we now have a memorandum of understanding to anchor cooperation between our foreign services institutions, which ensure knowledge exchange and harmonization of structures and content of diplomatic training.
The East African community is built on integration, shared borders, trade, and trust. So when one member hints at capturing another's territory, it shakes the foundation. EAC Secretary General Peter Mathuki urged calm and dialogue, but privately, leaders are uneasy. Kenya and Tanzania already compete for regional dominance. Uganda's rhetoric adds friction. If left unchecked, such provocations could weaken the bloc, just as East Africa faces global economic headwinds. For Maisha TV, I'm William Juma.